the proof that if you're hungry enough, there's nothing you cannot become. We often find ourselves giving excuses for why we're not able to live our dreams and to be the best we're supposed to be. And the argument is always excuse of, where I was coming from, my background, this, that, this. But when we see someone like Dr. Les Brown and how he's risen to be where he is today, despite not having all the opportunities that a lot of people have, then it's a guarantee that anybody can do it. Any one of us can be the best that we can be. We can become great. We can become successful. My story is also a proof to that. I started, I was born in Maiduguri. I had nothing when I started. My father's business had collapsed before I was born. My mother was a civil servant. And I remember that messages like that of Dr. Les Brown and books from people like him is what you only had, one had to believe in. The society said you can't go far, right? People like you are not the ones who make it in life. You struggle to, and I remember I wasn't also quite brilliant academically. In fact, the day I had, I'll never forget, the day I got 6th position, they had to slaughter a chicken. And by the way, in our house then, we only eat chicken during Christmas or on your birthday, right? The day I got 6th position in class, right, my parent had to get chicken. And that's the best position I've ever had. So for me, that it looked as if the chances of becoming successful was almost not existent. But I had to believe that if not me, who else? And that's one of the things you're going to be learning from Dr. Les Brown today, right? The place of hunger in becoming successful, the mindset let me ask you guys a question, okay? For example, how many of you agree with me that an average of you will become very, very relaxed the day you see, let's say, 10 million naira in your account? You become very, very relaxed, right? If you agree with me, type I agree. Okay? If you don't agree, type I don't agree. Okay? Many of you, that 10 million naira is just sitting in your account, right? Just sitting there. Many of us will just say, you know what? Thank God. Somebody say, I don't agree. Maybe yours is 100 million. For some other people, it's 1 billion. But guess what? How do people eventually become the richest people in the world? It's because there is that consistent hunger that the enemy of tomorrow's success is today's success. Having that hunger that I've gotten here, then I can get more. However, still being contented, because sometimes we then get it wrong, thinking that hunger is the same thing as not being contented. They're two different things. You are grateful to God for that which you've gotten, but you are hungry that you can get better, that there's more to your life, there's more that can come, and that there's a lot more that you can become. And that's very, very key. And that's the attitude for greatness and for success. And for me, that's how I've come this far. So for me, that's the attitude that got me this far. Is an attitude of, you know what? Thank God for where I am, and I'm grateful. And I'm happy to God for the blessings. But you see, I can still do more. God expects me to be more. That is the attitude that got me this far. A lot of us, as soon as we get certain level of success, right, we just, get a bit relaxed. Okay, when we get a level of success, we just get a bit relaxed and say, yeah, you see where I'm coming from. Yeah, see us now. For me, is no, get more hungry. And if there's anybody who can teach us about the power of hunger, trust me, Dr. Les Brown is that person, right? He is just one of the most hungry people I've ever seen. Now, one of the remarkable things about Dr. Les Brown that some of you may not know, he's been battling for a while now, he's been battling with prostate cancer. And every day I see him, despite battling with cancer for over 25 years now, he comes online, either on social media, has one conference or the other. Even the day we went to his house, he still had one event or the other. Probably had 3 events that day that went to his house. And to believe that the same person is battling with prostate cancer for 25 years. Now, if that is not a hungry man, I don't know if that does not motivate you. Now, I need you to know the day they tell you have cancer, right? Many people, the day they told them they have cancer is the day they just packed up, right? And started telling their loved ones, you gotta, I'm going. But this man has refused to die. He's kicked cancer in the butt many times over, right? As he always liked to say that I kick cancer. And that's the attitude. My mother died of ovarian cancer. And I remember being with her in a hospital bed. And she was telling me, the doctor said, I'm not going to make it. I should call my children and pray for them. I remember I kept saying to my mother, I say, if only you can believe. I just kept telling her, I said, if only you can believe. And for me, Les Brown is a proof of that, right? That if you can believe, no matter the doctor's report, no matter what somebody is saying, no matter the statement, okay, you're gonna die, something's wrong, if you can just believe that there's a greater tomorrow for yourself, right? And that something big can happen, that no matter what the doctor's report says, you can still be who you need to be. Honestly, there's no limit to our success. There's no limit to who we can be. In the motivational world, Dr. Les Brown is probably the only Black person in that league in terms of where he is. And it's amazing how he got there. I mean, there's nobody, even Black or white, that is at the level he is without a college degree, right? He didn't have any of that. And he's gone around the world. He's inspired people all over the world. He's changed people's life globally. He's known globally. He's author, best-selling books, highly sought after globally. And if you can do that, you can. So can everybody say, I can? Come on, everybody. Can you shout, I can? Okay, one of that statement I love that he always says, hungry. Okay, and I want everybody to shout that. Can you just shout, I am hungry? Hey, everybody, come on. Can you shout, I am hungry for success? Okay, once again, I want everybody to shout, I am hungry for success. Now, the hunger part, and that's why his topic today, by the way, is creating the hunger for becoming a billionaire, the hunger to even have the hunger to become successful is a key thing. In Africa, where we come from, we're always put in that position of, you've done enough. If you can just have one house, you've tried, if you can just have one car, that's okay. That's okay. Mediocrity is what many of us have been taught. Mediocrity is what many of us we've been told that, we don't need to raise the bar. Many of us have been told that, we should just be average. And one thing that I feel we need to change, particularly as Black people, and that's why I'm happy that in this series, I'm able to bring a Black man. We brought Brian Tracy last month, who happens to be, Brian Tracy said Les Brown is his best friend. Okay, and we're bringing Robert Kiyosaki, in October. But I'm happy that we're having somebody who is also black skinned and is able to mentor us and share with us and teach us what we're learning today. And that, again, for me, validates this conversation about the fact that being black, okay, has nothing. Being black, the fact that I'm black is not synonymous to lack. The fact that I'm black does not mean I cannot think big, I cannot get hungry, I cannot raise the bar, I cannot desire more for myself, right? Being black does not mean that you cannot become great. And the barriers that the world has set for us, and say you're a black man, you don't need to strive too hard. How many black people at your level? We can shatter those records. One of the goals I have is that among the richest, I'll be the richest. And I have no shame about that. One of the things I've told and I've shared over and over again is that, listen, until we erase poverty, we cannot end racism. Can everybody type that? Until we erase poverty among Black communities, we cannot end poverty. Everybody, can you type, until we erase poverty, we cannot end racism. Everybody type it. Until we erase poverty, we cannot end racism. One more time, everybody, type it. Until we erase poverty, we cannot end racism, right? Because the reality remains. I was sharing with some people today. I said, I'm currently in Dubai. And one of the things I was sharing with them was the fact that here in Dubai, they've banned Nigeria, they've banned different countries, okay, because of COVID restriction. And we had a serious issue that happened in India, where there was so much, people started dying due to the Delta variant, and people were literally dying in their thousands, and I'm talking about tens of thousands daily. And yet, okay, I think they suspended the flight for like a week. And again, they resumed the flight back for Indians. And you know why? It's not because the Dubai government, only love Indians more than everybody else. No. Okay. If you remove the investment of Indians in Dubai, literally the Dubai economy is going to collapse. And that's the reality, right? So the truth is, if you are wealthy, are we learning at all? You are able to, even if people don't like your skin color, they don't like your face, but they like your money and they need your money. They are forced to treat you with dignity and the respect that you deserve. The same thing happened. If you notice, a lot of athletes started having, Black athletes started having a lot of respect and have voice when we started having Black people do well. It started with Muhammad Ali when he became the world heavyweight champion and was successful in boxing. Right? What happened? The man said, I'm not going to Vietnam War, right? Because I don't think the war was a good one. They banned him, they stopped him. At the end of the day, they still had to make him a hero. He's still a hero till tomorrow, right? As soon as, because you might not like Muhammad Ali's skin, but you like his boxing. You like the way he stings like a bee, right? So the truth is, the best way to end racism, okay, is to build wealth, success among our Black people and Africans, right? That's just the best, one of the best way, because already we know slavery is ended, colonialism is ended, right? But we're still seeing racism everywhere. And it's still because wealth hasn't moved yet. A lot of Africans are still poor. A lot of Africans are still poor. A lot of African Americans are still poor. And until we start teaching ourselves to be hungry for success, hungry to become great in life, hungry to be the best in whatever it is that we are doing. One of the things I tell people, I said, one of the reasons why you want to become successful is not because you need the money or you need the success, as it were. It's who you become in the process of becoming successful. There's something it does to you, right? Your self-esteem is built. Your mindset is changed. Okay, so it has nothing much to do with about I have money in the bank. No, it's about how you see things better. You're a better human being. Poverty has made people do desperate things. Poverty has made people do ridiculous things. I've seen people, right, do ridiculous things to their family members just because of money. I've seen people betray, people who have been of so much help to them just because of money, right? And that's why if you really, the best version of you begin to come out when money is no longer really your biggest headache, when it's about changing life, impacting people, when you've gone through the journey. And so I say to people, success in itself is not what changed a man's life, but the process of becoming successful. What you have to go through, the humility. One of the stories I love to share here is the story of Joseph. Can everybody type Joseph? Joseph. Everybody come and type Joseph. Now, Joseph in the Bible was a man who had a great dream. He saw his father, he saw his mother, they all bow down to him, blah, 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 blah. We all know the story, But one thing we discovered in the story of Joseph was that he had a great dream, but it got to him. Whether you agree or not, Joseph actually became arrogant. He would go and be reporting his brothers to his parents. Oh, this is what they have done. Remember, he has seen a dream that they are going to be bowing down to him. So he already took that image and probably even felt that that position was actually meant for him to look better and smarter than his brothers, right? And he was better than everybody else. But what happened when they sold him to slavery? What happened when Joseph eventually went into prison? Who can guess? Can anybody guess why God probably took him through this journey? Anybody? Because he said it himself, and we got to understand it, right? Anybody? Can you guess why? Why did God have to, make Joseph go through all this process, right? I mean, God could have put a dream in the heart of Pharaoh that there's a guy called Joseph, he's in so place, go get him, he will make a difference, make him your prime minister. Why did he have to go through, right? Somebody says to be humble, very close to that. Actually, so that he will, and another person's purpose, another person's vision. But more importantly was to prepare him for that position. And so that when he eventually gets to the top, he understands that that wasn't done for him. The process wasn't done for him. The process was done for such a time like as this. That's why when his brothers were afraid of him, they thought he was going to, get revenge. He was going to deal with them. What happened to Joseph? He said, no, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. And he was clearly able to explain to them that, look, right, I was born for such a time as this. He was clearly able to help them understand that, look, this thing, you guys might have done it for whatever reason, but it was eventually really needed, right? Something that was needed because God had a bigger plan. God had a bigger, there was a bigger thing behind this whole thing. And I think that's the mindset we need to have, that there are challenges we're going through right now. And those challenges are actually to bring out the best in us. If we really understand the goal and the plan of God in our lives, we will ultimately realize that it's all working together for our good. This whole hardship is going to make us a better person. And when we get to the top, we always remember that we're born for such a time as this. We're born to make a difference. We're born to add value to humanity. We're born to change the world, right? And not just for our own personal self-aggrandizement. This event, as far as I'm concerned, as much as a lot of you paid to be here, what you paid is not even up to what it cost us to make this happen. So for us, this wasn't about making money. It was about making a difference, bringing somebody who has been there, done it, I'm over 75 years of age, listening to older people sharing with you how you can bring out greatness in you. And I believe that this is going to make a difference. Do we have Dr. Les Brown here? So we can bring him up, right? So for me, I believe this is ultimately going to make a shift in a lot of people's life. A lot of you do not even know what is going to hit you today. But 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, you remember I was at a meeting, right? And a man inspired me by Les Brown, said there's greatness on my inside. And he told me to be hungry for success. And today, not only am I successful so that I can feel like I'm successful, my life has changed the world. My life has impacted so many people. I've been able to make a difference. I've been able to change a lot of people's life, and their life is better. Okay, and for me, that is the mindset, that is the attitude, and that is the way to the top. So while we're waiting for Dr. Les Brown, how many of you have enjoyed this little charge? I just needed to charge you up with these few words. If you feel charged up, type "I'm charged up." Okay, come on, everybody, talk to me. If you feel charged up, can you type "I'm charged up"? I'm charged up. Okay, beautiful. Okay, beautiful. Interesting. Oh, great, great, great. I can see everybody say they're charged up, charged up, charged up. I can see a lot of charged up. Oh, beautiful. Cool. Good, 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 good. Awesome. Ah, lovely. Beautiful. Amazing. Okay, good. So I'm going to do something while we're waiting for Dr. Les to join us shortly. So I want to take a few questions, right, from you guys while we're waiting for Les Brown. So if you have questions, let's take your question. Amaka says, Rachel says, I'm born for a time as this, born to add value and make changes. Thank you, Rachel. I love that. Amaka says, I work 9 to 5 and also do training on Excel too. So Amaka, what's your question? Is there anything wrong with working from, 9 to 5? What's the question? Okay. I'm ready to take questions. Your question is not clear, so I don't understand what you mean by 9 to 5. So again, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Let me see. Because one of the interesting thing that I noticed that we often don't do is ask questions, right? We often don't ask questions, and only those who ask questions are entitled to answers. A lot of the challenges we face in life can be easily resolved when we ask the right questions. So Amaka continues, due to the overwhelming work nature, I don't commit the way I would have loved. How do we create a balance? So when you say commit, what do you mean by commit? Commit to what? Is it commit to changing people's life? I need to understand your questions very well, right? So commit to what? You don't commit to what? Okay, so while I'm waiting for, please, when you're asking your question, I advise that you just take your time, type every of the question very well. Type all at once so that you send it all at once and make it very detailed so that it's easy for us to read and give you an answer. I also have one here. It says, will this training involve us about training about how to go into business? How to go into business really is not Les Brown's job. Les Brown's job is to motivate you and inspire you and give you certain principles, certain habits. It's my job in terms of, I have several trainings on businesses you can do, and many of them are on my YouTube, Stephen Actel TV. So if you're thinking of what business you can do, go to Stephen Actel TV on YouTube, and you can watch all that, right? But Les Brown's job is not really to tell you what business to do. Nkechi Lori says, how do you stay inspired when the most loved ones around you don't believe in your vision? Wow, that's a good question. I like that. Very, very good question. Yeah, that's a good question. So it's, first of all, I need to know that it's a normal thing. Like we just also talked about Joseph. Remember, the first people to sell into slavery were his family members. So first of all, understand that that is a normal thing that happens. And you always have situations where people oftentimes don't believe you at first when you start. It's just normal to life. However, one of the things you want to do is to find a way to get yourself inspired. Okay, find a way. And one of it, and that's why for me, trainings like this is important to me, right? Because it's messages like Dr. Les Brown's, my wife and I, virtually every day we listen to Les Brown, virtually every day, okay? And that's the way you want to do this. You want to make sure that you are able to listen to messages that inspire you, messages that, gets you hungry. Okay, messages that get you hungry for more, messages that tell you you can do it. So even if your family members are saying you can't do it, a Les Brown message is telling you can do it. A Stephen Akintayo message is saying you can do it. Ride on that, pending when you eventually start getting result. You see, result always terminates insult. The same family members who are mocking you today, when you start generating insult, I promise you, the same people will still come back and say, yes, you were always right. Unfortunately, let me warn you, some of them will even say, we have always known you will make it. And that's the way life is. Success has many brothers. Some will even claim the glory that, remember, I told you will make it. And, and again, sometimes the way life works, you see, people who do the poo-poo, they can't remember, but you pack the poo-poo, you remember. So a lot of times people even forget the negative words they said to you. So they even want to claim the glory and say that their motivation was part of what inspired you to be who you are, when the result, of course, has come. So success terminates insult. For me, when I get attacked, I get more motivated to get more results. That's been my secret. Like, attack gets me hungry for more success, because I just know that, the only way I can terminate the insult is to get more results, right? So I'm taking Amaka's question. Amaka is asking how she runs a training company. At the same time, she works. And then how can she balance it? Well, my advice, Amaka, is either you go and you resign where you currently work and go and work for somebody who is successful in training, like a Les Brown company, like a Stephen Actel Consulting. You may not even be paid, or you may not even be paid as much as you were paid in your normal regular paid job, but you go there so as to learn how to take your speaking training business to the next level. Because ultimately, the reason why you're not getting results in your training program is not just because you are not giving it enough time. It's also because you've not stepped up your game. You don't have as much exposure. There's a whole lot you don't even have endorsement, right? You don't know what it means when somebody who's already known comes out and say, Amaka worked with me, right? Amazing lady. She's one of the best speakers out there, right? Guys, I encourage you to engage her. you don't know how powerful just that word is, right? In my office, I remember my staff said to me, sometimes they are talking to customers, and customers are still doubting them. Like, are you sure? What was the proof that you are working with Mr. Steven? Right? I will pay my money now. Something can happen. Are you sure? And there's so much of that. And one day, one of the best of them, I did a video. And I say, hello, guys. This is Marta Osachi, one of the best guys in GTExt. Amazing lady. Work with her. She's going to take care of you. And that was amazing. I mean, that definitely quiet anybody trying to doubt you anymore, right? In that kind of situation where such has been said. So aside that, you're able to learn how to do your training program better. You get endorsement from who you used to work for, even when you eventually go on your own. And sometimes you can easily start doing side gigs, because it's even your boss sometimes that will send you to represent him in some engagement. And sometimes won't mind giving you some things on the side. So you might be in the wrong job, because you should be in a job that complements your dream, your vision, and your goals. That's one part, but hold that in one hand. On the second hand, I want you to hold this. Life is in phases, men are in sizes, leave your size per time. Everybody write it down. Life is in phases. I want you to type it. Life is in phases, men are in sizes, leave your size per time. What do I mean? Let me tell you this. I studied microbiology. My first set of business was digital marketing, selling bulk SMS. I have no form of passion for selling bulk SMS. I have no IT experience. I didn't study IT. I don't like IT, okay? But I learned early, okay, that sometimes there is a phase where you need to let go your passion for a while, right? And pay the bills. The Bible says that he that cannot provide for his household is worse than an infidel. It is very wrong when you are not able to pay your bills and the excuse you are giving is that you are chasing your passion. It's quite selfish. I remember Pastor Poju put it this way. A young man asked this question in church, and he said to Pastor Poju that he loves to pray. He wants to become a man of God, a pastor. And unfortunately, his mother, his parents are always saying, you should go and get a job, you should go and get a job. And he doesn't understand why they don't understand his dream. And Pastor Poju said something. He said, that pastoring that you said God called you for should pay your bills. Should pay your bills, right? And it is selfish, according to Pastor Poju now, for you to sit down in your mother's house or your father's house and be eating their food, right? And yet be claiming that God called you to be a pastor. And I love that message because it's coming from a pastor. Okay, it's coming from a pastor, that it is irresponsibility, right? Because now you are eating mommy and daddy's food, right? And you are claiming that God called you. God showed you a revelation. Let that revelation pay your bill. So let's also balance some of these things, that there is sometimes a season where you say, I'm going to commit 5 years, right, to chase how to raise capital, because every dream requires money. Haven't you, okay, let me ask you this question. How many of us are Christians here? If you're a Christian type, I'm a Christian. Have you ever wondered why Jesus' ministry was only 3.5 years? What was Jesus doing, till he was 28, till he was 27? What was Jesus doing? Why was Jesus referred to as the carpenter's boy? In meaning, since childhood, Jesus was working with his father in the carpenter's shop. So if the Son of God will do carpenter, how does carpenter relate to coming to die for the sins of the world? But if Jesus had to do that, where there's a phase of Jesus' life, where he was focused on doing his father's carpentry work, right? And there was a phase where he then launched his ministry. You need to be that smart also to understand that life is in phases, but there's a phase right? So trying to combine the two, you will not get results. First of all, you will get promotion in your place of work. This thing you think God has called you to do in terms of become a trainer, you will still not get results in. Now, it doesn't make sense. I say this a lot of time with people work in GTEx also. Trying to juggle two things at the same time doesn't make sense. You can commit to say, I will give GTEx 5 years. After that, I'm going to run this thing that gives me passion. But while I'm at GTEx, I will save money. I will earn enough commission. I will save enough so that when I go start my business, even if I'm not being paid or I'm not making money, because remember, you have to move from free to fee. Everybody writes it. You move from free to fee when you start in the direction of your passion. You have to move from free to fee. Everybody type free to fee. So that period when you have to start from free because you are chasing your passion now, you will sustain yourself with all the savings you've done when you were actively working somewhere else. One of the guys that I love to mention that did this very well, his name is Jimmy Tewe. Jimmy Tewe was into HR for the banks. He rose to a top position, was a big guy at the bank, earning so much, and then resigned. In fact, he prepared so much for his resignation. He sold his mortgage because he knew that, he wasn't going to get fat salary anymore. Sold some of his cars, moved from the island to the mainland, had to start with a very simple life because he understood the predicament that he was in, right? And amazingly, it was just amazing how, the kind of structure that he did. By the way, Les Brown will be joining us in the next 20 minutes. Okay, so I just got confirmation for that. Okay, good. So beautiful. Apparently, he was supposed to join us at that time. So I was the one that even made mistakes. So good. We still have about 20 minutes to talk and to answer some of your questions. So very important that we get to understand that if you don't balance some of these things, right, you are going to make a big, big mistake where you don't get any result at all. So Jimmy Tewe resigned after he had risen to probably, I think he did almost 10 years at the bank. And you know, one of the funny things, Jimmy Tewe rose so fast that many people have been doing motivation before he started motivation, right? And today, he does trainings all over the world. So the truth is that this thing is not running away. Remember, time and chance happened to them all, right? Time and chance happened to them all. One of the things I'd say to people, don't envy anybody. Sometimes when you are, maybe because you understand the structure. Let me give you a typical example. When I started motivational speaking, I remember I later withdrew a bit from speaking, public speaking rather, and I focused more in my business. I remember my other colleagues were mocking me. In fact, one of them attacked me literally on Twitter, right? That was too aggressive. I would be sending spam mails. I would be marketing bulk SMS, rather than coming and giving rhymes. But what I realized was, what am I motivating people about, really? What result have I gotten in my business for me to be motivating people? Why not focus on being successful in my business so that when I now start speaking, I am speaking from the successes that I have gotten from my business? Today, all those who are mocking me are not able to do what I'm doing today, right? Back to back, I hosted Grant Cardone, hosted Brian Tracy, hosting Les Brown today, hosting Robert Kiyosaki. None of those. So it looked as if I was out of the league for a while, right? But I had to do that to go build my business, then come back again. Now I'm able to even do this public speaking at a level that those who have been doing for years are not able to. And I have credibility and I have result in it, and I'm able to prove what I'm teaching rather than just motivating. And it looks like empty talk. Because now I can tell you, I started my business from 1,000 naira, I've grown to become a multi-billion naira corporation. If you argue, I will tell you, go and Google it. I'll tell you, go to my site, go to all my estates. right? These are not, I thank God I do real estate, so it's fiscal. It's not even, you say we don't know how much is what. Go to the estate, ask for how much they are selling per plot or per house. You know my what. So now I have that tangibility, and I'm back, in public speaking a lot now, but I'm able to do it at another level. So balance your life, right? Because sometimes I always tell people, when you use your employer's time for your side hustle, you're a thief, okay? You're a thief, and God is not happy with you because that employer is paying you for that time, right? Your agreement with your employer is that it's paying you for that time. So when you are using his time to market, oh, I am a consultant, come and do this consulting work. You could log into your employer's internet. You enter your employer's office, right? And then you sit down and you start using his internet and data and everything to start marketing a side business. You're stealing, right? Because the employer has paid you for that time. So it's wisdom to just understand that at some point I'm going to do this. Number three way to also do this is when you are with an employer, save a good number of your salary and start investing it. So that by the time you are leaving your employer, what is coming from your investment is paying your salary while you're trying to grow your business. And this is one of the best strategies you can also do. So for example, I can start buying land, right? Over time, I can sell, maybe I bought 2 plots, I sell one, use the money of one to build the other, rent it out. People start paying me rental income. Do you see now? Over time, when the money my tenants are paying me, I'm just giving an example of real estate now, there are other options. When the money my tenants are paying me is more than the salary I'm collecting where I work, I can then resign, okay? Knowing that my tenants will keep paying me salary, while I try to grow my business. Remember, it's not easy to grow any business. I mean, you already know how difficult it is, even for your current employer, how he's struggling to pay the bills, how he's struggling to do a lot of the things that he's having to do. So you know the story. And it's just common sense to realize that it is wisdom, right? Real wisdom, real common sense, to say to yourself, I am going to go through this thing in phases. At this moment, I will, focus on being faithful to my employer, such that even when I'm leaving, my employer will be willing to support me. There's a lady who worked with me. Her name is Bukola Lukan, so faithful. And then when she told me she was leaving, I didn't even have much that time. I think it was 70,000 I gave her. I remember inviting her earlier this year, and I gave her $1 million as a gift, right? And I've sent her all expense paid trip twice this year, and she's not a full-time staff with me anymore. But I remember how faithful she was when she was working with me that time. Of course, she resigned to go and chase writing books, doing affirmation and all of that. But I still didn't forget that when she was with me, she gave it all. All. There was nothing else. There was no side hustle. It was everything. So even though I didn't owe her salary, years after, I still called her back and still gave her something. Because at that point, the company is now in a better position to say, I still thank you for those faithfulness you practice. That's the way you want to work. I don't know if you got value. If you got value, type, I got value. So let me take maybe one more question or two. Festus Ilesomi says, I'm at a crossroad in my career and life. I'm getting challenged from my MD CEO, and I'm trying to start my own company, construction. My quality is not in doubt by anyone around me, including him, but his actions are not making me feel comfortable. I want to pull out, but I don't want to do it out of distress. Absolutely. And a good question, by the way. And I think you are thinking in the right direction. The truth is this. I tell people that at the top, the circle is very small. It's very small. So I give you an example. I never knew that Brian Tracy's best friend is Les Brown. Guess what? I also never knew that Grant Cardone and Les Brown are quite close. Now, as I moved up and started, connecting with a lot of these guys, only for me to realize that it's almost as if it's a circle. They all know each other. They all are quite close and friendly and know each other. It's almost like a small cult at the top in terms of the speaking industry. And that's the way life is. Every industry is like that. Same to construction. So a lot of times, if you don't pull out well, where there's too much disagreement, you may end up finding your boss literally everywhere you're trying to go, literally are creating a stumbling block. Because sometimes people will just call him and say, yeah, this your boy used to work with you. You know what? I want to give him something. Should I know people who call me concerning people who had worked with me before just to seek my consent, right? Now, if they didn't do well, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say, no, that guy didn't do well. So my advice to you is to go to your boss and say, sir, sit him down, buy him a gift and say, sir, first of all, I don't know what exactly I've done, but I want to say I'm sorry. And if you don't mind, I would like you to let me know what exactly is it that I'm doing that you don't like so that I can improve and I can be better. Now, will you need to leave your boss? Yes, you need to. But don't leave it now that you guys have tension, right? Work and after, the relationship is good, is smooth, is working well. Again, find a very good atmosphere, go with gifts, and let him know you want to leave. And you're ready to still support the system the best way you can. Any day, anytime you can call it, but be very humble about it because you still need his help, right? Even when you pull out. There are certain jobs, for example, that he may be beneath him, and he will just be sending them to you, right? Because you pull out well. Also, when people are calling him to kind of just confirm, and I don't know if you agree with me that particularly in Africa, people always want to call on other people to confirm about people. I don't know if you agree with me. If you agree, that I agree. I don't know why we do that. In America, the Western world, they don't do that. Right? Western worlds don't do that. But funny enough, Africans always do. It's like, we are that guy, what do you think? And even in buying houses, you see somebody calling one uncle somewhere and say, I want to buy a house. And like, what's this? So if you are able to build a good relationship, when people start calling to say, your boy, and people always remember these things, right? He'll be able to put in a good word to say, yeah, great guy, he left me well, good guy, So I always advise, I understand that we are tempted, but if we're good, when you're good at your job, there's that level of professional pride. I call it professional pride. Like, come on, I know my job. But you will go farther if you are humble, right? Despite being skillful. And that is where Joseph got to. I don't know if you noticed that if you check that scripture about Joseph and when he met Potiphar, he was a more humble Joseph. I don't know if you noticed that he was a more humble Joseph. It wasn't the rub it in your face Joseph. It wasn't the I'm the best guy Joseph. It wasn't the I know it all Joseph. It was the I have the solution. If you can do it with me, fine. Even if you can't do it without me, you don't need to even do it with me. But this is the strategy, your Lord. Very humble, very submissive. The way he put the whole conversation with so much humility, with so much, respect and all of that. And for me, that is where God is taking us to. Okay, that's where God is taking us to. For me, that's where God is taking us to. So Olabi Jami says, I'm a technician plumber having it difficult to get big contracts due to I'll be working in company facilities all these years. What can I do to get more clients? Beautiful question also. One of the things you want to do to get more clients is to probably offer some free services to high net worth individuals. First of all, I need to know that what you need is not more clients. What you actually need is quality clients. Let me say that again. What you need is not more clients. What you need is quality client. Can everybody type it again? What I need is not more clients. What I need is quality client. So years ago, I remember how I used to really struggle with this aspect. I used to think it's more clients. And later, as I started, relating with going for, speaking events globally, I remember I went for one event in Florida, and that's why, please guys, all these events in Dubai, US, UK, you need to do these things. Even if you have to empty your pocket for them, is a game changer. So I went for this event in Florida. It was Marketers Cruise. And I remember how everybody there, the cheapest coaching program they were doing was $10,000 to $20,000. The cheapest, like the cheapest guy has a coaching program, okay, of cheapest, like 10,000 minimum, some of them 50,000. And then the main trainers at that event were teaching us how to start charging 100,000. It was crazy. Like, I couldn't even understand. If you change that to Nigerian Naira, where from, it was just mind blowing. But that was when I started learning the importance of high ticket and classing my services and my values and my offers and being able to have categories. And today, I think I now have $20,000 coaching program. Okay, but one of the things that I had to do is to be able to network upward with high net worth people and sometimes offer them free. For example, there's none of you who is here who is not special. Every one of you, including some of you that I gave free tickets to, right? You are high net worth individuals, right? And that's why you got my ticket. Okay, so part of it is to say, come have a taste.